All right, so I wanted to get right into this here real quick, man. This is my immediate reaction. I was really waiting for them to. I was really waiting for them to get done with the press conference here. Um, I can't lie, man. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. I'm a little disappointed, and I'm trying to not get down on it. It's just I have to admit, the emotions. I can't separate from the emotions right now, and I have to confess that it's they didn't get the names that I wanted. So let me start there. Let me be real with myself first and foremost before I could be real with y'all. But at the same time, I'm encouraged about the picks. So you know, just real briefly, I'm gonna take it. Take a look at my final mock draft and their mock draft. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing. I just wanted to compare it for position wise. I drafted three wide receivers. They drafted three wide receivers. I drafted two offensive tackles. They drafted one offensive tackle. I managed to get an interior offensive lineman. They got an interior offensive lineman. I drafted a quarterback. They did not draft a quarterback. I drafted one tight end. They drafted two tight ends. And that was it for the offense added for them. Oh, I added a running back. They did not add a running back. Um, and defense added. I managed to add two edges. They managed to add two edges. Remember, whether you like the name or not, it was the position of need on the roster. Did they fill the positions of need? The question is yes. Do you like the players? You got to give the players a chance, and that's what I keep trying to tell myself. Because initially I was like, I wanted to fight these dudes, man. I got a cornerback. They got a cornerback. I got a safety. They got a safety. I took a defensive lineman, a D tackle, down lineman. They did not. I took a linebacker. They took two linebackers. So position for position, I mean, hey, your boy was on point now. Don't get it twisted. I had a front office mentality. So, but I wanted to take a look at some of these, like these. Again, when they first came in, they said they were going to build this thing in the trenches. And it's not to say that they can't change the strategy, but in the press conference post draft, they kept talking about best player available, best player available. And again, strategies can shift. Strategies are allowed to shift. So, apparently they weren't just going with general manager and coach speak. They had a plan. I told you path one should have been, if they took path one, the strict focus would have been on a trench build. Clearly, they did not go on a strict path of a trench build. Where and they did not take path. Well, I guess they did take. Well, they didn't take the pivot strategy, or maybe they did. They did, at least they didn't start with it. They're telling us that the players that they like came to them. They didn't have to do a whole lot. They made some moves and some trades. Well, again, this is just my immediate reaction. So I'll get into all of the other stuff when I get a chance to break it down. But like I said, initially I was feeling like I wanted to fight these dudes. But again, I had to realize I had to step back from the situation and realize that I was upset because I didn't like the names, and that's not a reason to not like the draft. So I'm gonna have to do the research on some of these guys. But here he's talking about the
Draw
build here.
players from. What can you tell us about that?
Again, we let the board talk to us, and it's the best player available approach. And it's coincidence that we had a lot of guys from the state of Texas this year. They play good football in Texas, so I think that's probably a good thing. But again, there was nothing that was intentional. It's just the way that it kind of fell.
How much of a priority was physicality?
So that was he's talking about the board falling to him. There was another one. Let me go straight to it. I had to watch it and then wait for the clip to become available.
You never have any way of knowing what your needs are going to be.
Yeah, that was it.
To you before.
So
Any way of best player available approach. Yeah, I mean, in those
BPA and conviction over need.
Okay, that was Chris Perkins.
Yeah, I
asking
mean,
the
and those
question.
other guys again. I want to make sure I'm being very clear here. You know, those other guys that you mentioned are very good football players, and the Dolphins would have been lucky to have them. But yeah, it is a best player available approach, and there's a lot of conversations that go into it. You never have any way of knowing what your needs are going to be. You know, I've said that to you before,
And I'm trying to figure that out. How do you not know what your needs are going to be if you're looking right at the roster? You know what you got in veteran workouts and well, we ain't got the OTAs yet, but you understand what I'm saying. You got the roster on paper, and you got the players in the building. I'm not so sure about that comment. That one threw me for a loop. I just wanted to bring that up. I'm going to chop this thing up. But again, this is just my initial reaction, man. I'm just going to fly through this thing. The next one was what? Here.
How to make it work for him. And I think sometimes coaches look at, we're playing 3-4, we're playing 4-3, and he doesn't fit the scheme. I mean, I don't agree with that. I mean, let's get the best football players we can, and let's figure out what they can do.
Yeah.
And how it's going to be fun trying to figure out these guys as we watch them do individual and then we watch them play football to figure out how to make it work. And that excites me as a coach, and I've said that before. And I think we've got a lot of pieces now to do that. And I was sitting there saying the draft.
Okay, so he's talking about.
I was like drawing up different things different guys can do, like that. That's fun for me. And these are really good players that mixed in with the players that we have. Now it's our job to go to work.
I hear you, Coach. We got some players now. Don't get it twisted. Now, I started losing faith around after the Michael Taffy pick. And the Kevin Coleman Jr., I really felt like there were other safeties on the board that they could have done better with. Kevin Coleman Jr., I was like, if you're going to take that wide receiver, you should have taken C.J. Daniels. The thing that really disappointed, I'll get to it, man. Let me cover the rest of the little points that I wanted to hear them talk about again.
Go get good at it.
We heard Sully's comments on Chris Johnson, but I want to go back to.
Okay, this is them talking about why they like Chris Johnson.
Cornerbacks at the league meetings, the three levels of play. When you're watching Chris Johnson play, how did he fare at all three levels?
No, it's cool that you remember that. I think he can win at all three, and he can take the ball away, and he tackles, and he's aggressive, and I love his play style, and he can play inside. I mean, this was one of.
Okay, so
my favorite guys in the draft.
Yeah,
that's
what he
said.
said.
Talking about him, and it came time to pick him. I mean, I would not have been surprised if he was taken earlier than.
Okay, so and like I said, they had to make that pick strictly because they had the conviction about the guy. So, kudos to them for sticking to their board. That's something that GMs can tend to get away from. They'll make other excuses like, well, I just went and got who the coach wanted to get.
I just wanted the best player available. And I think that's the cool part about this.
And again,
draft
he's talking about the
really learning from him and going through this the first time.
I'm gonna go through this because again, in their introductory press conference, they said that they were going to build this thing inside out, and they did not. If they were going to build this thing the inside out, then they really would have taken the strict focus on the trench build. So hybrid versus BPA versus need. Yeah, I would have to say that they did answer a lot of needs. I will disagree that they took the best player available. There were players that I graded as better, but clearly these guys are the professionals, and that's why we got to kind of go with what they're evaluating. The only thing that I can say about that is that the picks, they better work, Coach. They better work. What was the last thing?
All the things that Trey can do, the amount of sacks that he's hitting those guys and coaching them.
I think if I can chime in here, the theme is good football players who can do different things. And as you build a roster, injuries, it's inevitable. Injuries are going to happen. So it's no different than in life, right? The more you can do, the more value you bring. And that was kind of, that's been our theme all the way through. Let's just collect as many really good football players as we can. who can do a lot of different things. Throw them in the mix, and good things will happen. You know, that are also, I know you guys are tired of hearing me use the phrase wired right, but that are wired right. You know, that love what they do and are passionate about what they do and have leadership skills and physical and mental toughness, and you're not going to go wrong that way. You know, you can win with that mindset and win with that process. I believe that in my heart of hearts.
And I think, you know.
Okay, so that's, you know, hey, listen. The only thing that I have a knock on with those guys is I felt like, matter of fact, I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go to my notes because I wanted to make sure I say that. I want to make sure I said this. Yeah, that's just. And it was somebody that I was arguing with on Dolphins Twitter. Whoever this was, I was back and forth with. This guy here, Vice City Sports. And I can't even remember what the question. I think I was replying to someone else, but I said when you have a tone deaf owner and a newly hired GM and a head coach that simultaneously need to have conviction in their picks, but also be able to gauge the temperature of the fan base, where Ross has continually failed at it, and now the new guys, absolutely. So he was saying it's a requirement that a pro team needs to always draft a player from their city college. That's not at all what we were saying.
Wait, hold on. I think I got the wrong guy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is a big. Cool. It's a big misunderstanding. I know you was at your beats.
The problem is that they failed to gain the pulse of the South Florida area. The fans have been starving for 25 years for a playoff win, and you know, you have a kid who grew up in the city, who played his little league ball in the city, who played his high school ball in the city, played his college ball in the city, and you needed to infuse excitement into the fan base after these past 6 years, plus including in the last 25 years. You needed to sell a little bit of sexy to get the tickets, to get the butts in the seats, because if the people don't believe in the players, then you're going to be stuck waiting for them to see the results of them winning first, and then they come out to the stadium. But we know sometimes you need that crowd to help the team win, you know, with the crowd noise and just the energy that they provide to the team. So I guess, you know, that dude there is just as tone deaf as Ross is, but you got to give the GM a pass for right now. So I just want to give my initial reactions, man. This is going to be sloppy. I'll do a better one for you, but I wanted to put this out because, yes, I'm disappointed in the picks, but I am also encouraged because we did get some players. You know, it's up to you to decide whether or not, you know, the value was worth it where we took them at. So I just want to get on here and speak my little piece. I got to, you know, put some stuff together for y'all, and I'll get that episode out as soon as possible. So fins up, baby. You know, draft is over. I think we did all right. Initially, I'm going to say it's a B+, A- grade, but after I go through and I'm going to have to do a little film work because the one guy they picked, the tight end, the international guy, I mean, you didn't have to draft that guy. He was going to be there. You bring him in as an undrafted free agent. That is absolutely where you should have picked Anez Cooper. And instead of taking Thomas, you should have took C.J. Daniels. But, you know, okay, you know, rein it in. Anyway, let me get out of here, man. Just want to do that real quick. Yeah, man, fins up, baby. Fish out of water show. Let me put the real deal together and I'll get you the final grade for the draft. Y'all be easy out there. Peace.